Hello, Pella Christian. So, for this week in art, we are going to look at some different paintings and how artists see wind. So, wind isn't really something we see, but lots of artists try to capture wind in their art. And that's what you are going to do this week. So, instead of a step-by-step art project this week, we are going to look at 3 or 4 different paintings of wind, and then you are going to make your own art about wind. So here we go. Well, we are going to look at some artwork in a little bit, and we're going to investigate how artists see wind. But before we do that, we are going to look at some of our learning targets. 1, I can create a work of art that captures wind. So if we can't see wind, how can we show wind? And then 2, I can show movement in my art. How can we show movement in art? Before we do that, we are going to be creation enjoyers. So Rohan and I, we're going to go outside and enjoy some of God's creation. Whew, it was windy out there. So let's look at some artists who capture wind in their artwork. This is a Japanese artist. His name is Hokusai, and this is his artwork called A Gust of Wind at Ijiri. All right, so what do you guys see? Where do you see the wind? Do you see anything moving? What things are moving in this picture? You see the people's clothes? They're blowing in the wind. Like Rohan's ears in the video before. Or papers flying away. Oh, I think that's a hat over there. Okay, so you guys are going to make work that captures wind as well and showing movement, just like they showed movement in these papers. We're also going to be beauty creators. So we went out and enjoyed the creation. Now we're going to make some beautiful artworks. Here's Winslow Homer's The West Wind. It's a powerful wind, kind of like Rohan and I were experiencing on the golf course. It was a really strong wind. Where do you see the movement? Her dress is filling up with wind like the sail of a boat. Or do you see any movement in the grass? This one's a little bit different. This is by Jacob van Ruisdael. He painted a windmill. Hey, we're kind of familiar with windmills. They turn in the wind. So do you see any movement here? See any examples of wind? Not all wind is super strong. This is one of my favorite wind paintings. It's by Andrew Wyeth. It's called Wind from the Sea. How hard do you think the wind is blowing? Do you see the wind? Can you see movement? I was back home at my parents' this week, and I was helping my mom set up some curtains kind of like this in our porch. And she said, my favorite sight is to see the curtains, the sheer curtains, blowing in the wind, just like this. I was helping hang up these curtains, and it reminded me of this painting. I thought, I want to do something with Andrew Wyeth's painting, and this is what inspired it. This is my example. This week, we are not going to create a step-by-step artwork all together. Instead, I'm going to let you guys all be artists and come up with your own ideas of what your wind art could look like. I drew a ship on the water. I decided to do a gentle wind that's barely blowing. Instead of a strong wind that's whipping the flag around, here's just a gentle wind. Everything's moving slowly. Learning target number 1, I can create a work of art that captures wind. Can you do it? I think you can. And 2, I can show movement in my art. So what is the wind going to be blowing? What is going to be moving in your art? I cannot wait to see all of your wind art. So go ahead and share it on the photo album, and then I'm going to share it on my Instagram if you guys post enough pictures, okay? So looking forward to it. Have a great week, Pella Christian.